Hello and welcome to another Spiritual Tea podcast. We've got Harish with us today. Harish is from Chennai and he's a very good friend of mine. He also does quantum hypnosis, which is called soul centered healing hypnosis, that we have learned from Laura Whitworth, a very dear friend of mine again. So he also does a bunch of other things. He does Tai Chi, he does surfing, he teaches people swimming, he also does water therapy, like to take people in water to release emotions and such. He also does workshops on how to understand your ego and get over it, basically, so that you can connect with your higher self and allow the energies of the higher self to guide you instead of the ego self. So that is a very wonderful workshop that he does. So if you want more information on that, please do check out Harish's Instagram page. I'll link it in the description. And any information, if you want to share your number, Harish, then I can put that also in the description. But today, we're going to be talking about something very interesting, which is basically called mystery schools. I don't know how many of you have heard of mystery schools. Have you heard of mystery schools? No, not at all.
I have, maybe back in the day in movies and in books, in Harry Potter's and all these wizard movies, we would have heard of all these mystery schools. But recently, after I've actually read the Kabbalah and the Hermetic principles and the Rastafarian principles, that actually opened up a different view to the entire mystery schools. But I'm still very new to the entire concept of mystery school, but it's something I'm really intrigued by. So I would love to hear more from Harish today.
Yeah. So, what if we tell you that mystery schools are real and they do exist? And most of the mystery schools have been around for decades or centuries. I'm not sure, but at least let's say at least 50 years since then, at least, right? At least. So it could be over a century as well, but mystery schools have existed since the 1800s, is the information that I've received. But at the same time, not anyone and everyone can join these mystery schools. It is basically with invite only. So if there is a person you know in the mystery schools, they can probably invite you into it, but otherwise you can't get into these mystery schools just by applying. But there is a school called Golden Dawn, which Harish is going to tell us more about, that has opened its gates to people who are looking to learn more about themselves and spiritual abilities that they may have. So Harish, what is this Golden Dawn all about?
Thank you, Teja, for the beautiful introduction. You've been fabulous as always. So, yeah, getting to mystery schools, over time, there have been a lot of secrets, and these secrets have been preserved by communities, certain secret societies, you might say, for a long time. And because the way Earth was, and more than Earth, the people were, the consciousness of people was pretty in a different space. So they didn't reveal this teachings to everybody. So it was reserved for a select few, and then it was reserved with a closed circle, and they started teaching only this closed circle so that this information can be passed on over time. And it actually started a long time ago, like at the start of this cycle, like 12,000 years ago. And especially it was really prevalent in Egypt. So a lot of these teachings from Golden Dawn comes all the way from,
Wow.
Egypt. Egypt was flourishing. Egypt during that time was a magical land. This was like after Atlantis. I'm talking about
Yes. Before the pyramids. Oh no,
after the pyramids. But then this was like after the Great Flood happened and everything was reset. So across time, this knowledge was preserved, and you must have heard of secret societies like the Freemasons.
yes.
So all these people, and even the Theosophical Society, Madame Blavatsky, she had immense knowledge of all these esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
And so what happened in the late 1800s, a few people who were well versed, they were actually Freemasons. They came together and put all this knowledge together, and they started the Golden Dawn Mystery School. So what it deals with is, like we can say, life can be split into two. One is the visible, and the next is the invisible. So we are always so focused in the visible. Like when science is all about visible. Can I see? Can you show me proof? Like it has to be seen. So it is given so much focus to the eyes only. But then there are other senses we totally neglect. There's something like feeling, knowing. All these put together create us, right? We're not just a visual medium. We can absorb information through all channels. So that's what the shamans say. The shamans, they operate on the invisible realm. So they seek spiritual guides or spirit animals, and they take information from there. So these mystery schools, they try to bridge both the visible and the invisible, try to help us understand what's happening, what are the other forces at play in life. Because a lot of people will say, I'm doing this, I should get this. At times it happens, but many times it doesn't, because there are other cosmic forces that might prevent you from, achieving what you want. And we the general public is not aware of. So to understand how the cosmos works is the basic of these schools. How does life work? How does the universe, how does it work? And how can I tap into these forces? How can I become a better person? So that is the essence of these teachings. And what they deal with is, they deal with, as Sanjay had mentioned, the Hermetic principles. There's a lot of information from the Kabbalah and astrology. They're very deep into astrology, tarot reading. And then the biggest part, I'm going to take tips from Teja here. I'm reserving the best for the end, is spiritual alchemy. So spiritual alchemy is like a prescribed program where you can work with the elements. And as you work with the elements, your being gets purified. So as beings, we are a mix of 5 elements. In India, we call them Panchabhuta. So in Ayurveda also, they say we should have a balance of these elements. So, and then we are a healthy being. But if you notice, some people might have a lot of fire in them. They'll be like angry people. Some people will be pretty lazy. So accordingly, Ayurveda classifies them as different dosha people, and accordingly medicines or treatments will be provided. And nothing is good and nothing is bad. It's just that how they are. So, but as we are moving up,
let's just clarify to people who are watching this for the first time what the Panchabhutalu are, or the 5 elements are. It's earth, water, fire, air, and spirit, or ether. So these are 5, but I'm sure that there are many more that we are not aware of. We are only aware of these 5 elements at the moment, but there are other elements. The higher you go, the higher frequencies you manage to touch, there will be other elements that will open up, which may feel surreal to us because we are in our denser form of humans. So until we access those, we will not know. But for all purposes, let's just stick to the 5 at the moment, not to confuse anybody.
Exactly. So what we do in this spiritual alchemy program is we invoke these elements in a prescribed schedule, and we work with that element alone. So thereby we will create a sort of an imbalance initially, but that is required so that we understand the element, we master the element, and we invoke all the energies of that element into our being. And then we move to the next. So across time, it's a time of 2 years, we would have worked with all the 5 elements progressively. And what it actually does is, for the people who have that scientific mind, who want to know what does it do, the basic underlying principle is that if you're not operating out of unconditional love, the chakras get blocked. So what happens over time, we have a lot of blocks in the chakra. So this prevents the flow of the Kundalini and other energies in our body system, creating ailments and our inability to access transcendental states or information from the higher realm. So when we invoke a particular element, that element goes into that corresponding chakra and knocks the
hell out
of it. I wanted to be civilized, but then that's what it does. It will trigger any, for example, if if there's a lot of anger in a person and you're working with fire will come and it'll keep triggering you so much, and then you make you understand your anger so that you no longer operate out of anger. So that's what it does. This, and also whenever when we are not operating out of unconditional love, there is karmic energy that gets stored in the chakra. And these invocations, these elemental invocations, help us remove that karmic energy from the chakra, so that the chakras are really open and they're flowing. And once all the chakras are open and flowing, the Kundalini has a free path to move up. And when you're a Kundalini awakened individual, you realize the full potential of the human body in this dimension, allowing you to step up to the next dimension. So that's how it is. Like
That's
it's
so
not
cool.
the end. It's just like you go. Like Kundalini is like the high. An awakened Kundalini individual is like the highest level at this dimension, but he might be the first in the next realm.
True.
So like step by step. So yeah. So this is what we do. Spiritual alchemy program. Other things are all knowledge, and it helps us to work with life. Like the hermetic principles are really good to understand why something happens to me when we think like, oh my god. But these elemental invocations are really good to improve yourself as a person. And after this, what happens is with time, because your ego will also be burned. As you're doing this, your ego is going to really, and then you'll understand how to work with these elements. Like you can actually
Yes.
do all sorts of magic, call upon the elements, and but that won't be from an ego grounding, but it will be because of the higher good.
That's
So,
awesome. And
you
you
know,
also
like-
mentioned that once you finish all of these levels of working with each element separately, and
Yeah.
then you approach the spirit element, after
Yeah.
that, you also have access to the spirit realms.
Yes, definitely. So once you're finished spirit, which I haven't gone there yet, so working with fire. So
It is a long process.
It is a long process. Yeah, if you want, I can explain how it goes step by step.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So actually, it starts with cleansing, a couple of weeks of cleansing, where you cleanse your the negative energies that get stuck to your aura. We call it cleansing of the microcosm, and then you banish the negative energies from the macrocosm. So that is like especially when you start this path, they say you will be attacked by entities from the astral.
Okay.
So to ward off entities from the astral, it's good to always have this banishing of the macrocosm as well. And it is basically a planetary banishment where we banish the energies of Saturn. So it's really good because when Saturn retrograde was happening, it just got over by I think November. Some people say November 4th, and some people say November 5th. Yeah. It was like a 6-month period. I saw a lot of people around me who are really struggling with that, but then I didn't feel any effects on me. I think it's because of
the cleansing,
the banishment of Saturn. Yeah. So, and also, Nazar. A lot of people they do something. There's a lot of Nazar that happens. Evil eye. So, whenever
Sorry,
you do
quick question, Harish.
Yeah.
You said we get attacked from the astral world, but why is that? Why?
Because there's a bigger drama at play where there are negative beings who want control of Earth, and they do not want light beings being established in their full power. So this is a process where you will awaken to truly who you are, and if you do that, you become liberated. And if you are liberated, you're no longer a slave to that group. Yeah. So they don't want that, and that's been a battle for many.
This is like an age-old battle. This is like the first battle that's not ended yet.
Yeah. So there's always a battle between that. So
So
So,
I just want to add a point here because a lot of people listening to the terms like negative energy and positive energy think that the energy itself is negative or positive, but energy just is. The way the energy is used makes it negative or positive, and there are beings that sometimes use this energy that they have to do negative things, to do things that are detrimental to other species like humans right now. We're also not purely humans. There are a lot of us that are hybrids. We've had a lot of mix of alien DNA coming into our human DNA since eons. It's not
yes.
something that is new. It's not, you know,
Yeah.
flash, this is breaking news. It's not like that. It has been the case, and that is why, like, this was a question I had asked a long time ago, when a lot of people have been saying that all these other species want to take over Earth. My question was, why Earth? We're such insignificant species. Why would anybody want to take over Earth, right? But the truth is that our DNA is not just human DNA. We have the information or coding in our DNA system that is of different species with different abilities and different intelligence that is coded into our human DNA. And like Harish mentioned, if we are woken up to our truest potential, it is a threat. Oh my God, I can't.
Right.
Threat to every other species in the universe who are not benevolent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The maleficent species, they find that to be a threat, so they want to thwart the intelligence or the information that is already in our DNA, so that we don't realize that we're actually much more stronger and capable to do things that they can't even imagine doing. So these beings want us to keep us in the dark, and hence use the energy that they have in negative ways, so that we are not we don't wake up to our own light. And that is the work of every light warrior, worker, light healer, whoever it is on earth today, waking up to that potential. We just basically are doing all of this so that you realize this is what's happening. This is the bigger agenda at play. And we all need to understand that and shift that consciousness.
And I would like to add one more thing here. As you just said, we are a threat to them. At the same time, they are using us as energy sources for them. So basically, we cultivate energy for them, and they keep us in this state of ignorance of our truest self and true potential. Because if we ever cross that line and actually have self-realization of our true self, we are going to be out of their control. So they need our energy for us to build this energy, but at the same time, they dumb us down.
Yes. And this is where the simulation theory comes
Yes.
from, that we're living in a state of simulation. But we'll talk about that in another video, because
Yes.
that's like another huge topic on its own. So after cleansing, what happens? Like, so you cleanse the
So just to add to your point, because I didn't want to go.
Alright.
So when you say we are a mix of multiple,
Species,
DNA,
yeah.
to be exact, we have 22 different species of DNA in our body, which includes the reptilians as well. So
Yes.
everybody contributed in creating the human. So
Actually,
we are like,
reptilians have a bad rap. Not all reptilians are
True.
negative,
True.
but unfortunately, majority of them are. So that is why they get a bad rap.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we are like the most sought out currency in the galaxy.
In the galaxy.
We're like bitcoins right now.
So that
I think
again, Earth, you had mentioned why Earth. So multiple things. Earth is a planet which is really, really rich in resources. It was. I don't know if it still is. And next, it is at the center of a lot of wormholes. So it is initially it was used as a resting place when people used to jump dimensions, the interdimensional travel and intergalactic travel.
Yeah.
So
we're like
Earth
the Punjabi dhaba on a highway.
It's a very prominent spot for people. Like like if you have access to Earth, then you can have access to all these
Yes.
wormholes, and also there are a lot of portals inside Earth as well.
Mhm.
Earth has so many number of portals, and I think most of them were closed after the infiltration. But so I think slowly.
Especially the Stonehenge portal was the last, I think, to be demolished and closed, because
Okay.
it was a place of great power and you still feel the energy when you visit the Stonehenge. But the
Definitely.
portal now, I feel, is being activated to receive more energy
Yes.
coming to Earth. But it was at one point used as a portal, and the destruction of Stonehenge happened because of the beings that came through the portal. And as I'm saying this, I also want to tell you that it's not me who's talking at the moment. I don't know what's channeling through me, but this information is something that I didn't have previously. So yeah, just letting
Wow.
you know. I don't know what is coming.
Very true. When a lot of these malevolent beings started using these portals, they were all shut down too. And when Earth fell, they had to stop evil from spreading across the galaxy. So a lot of portals were shut
Yes.
by the Guardian.
And the cleansing process that Harish was talking about, that was done so that he didn't attract these entities to, stop them from interfering.
It's like a protection.
Yes, so that is something that needs to be done on a regular basis, even in our day to day, because when you're working as a light warrior or a light worker or any other energy source, like even if you're just going about your day being the antenna, like to ground the energy, you will be psychically attacked from time to time, depending on how aligned you get with your energies. The more aligned you get, the more of these psychic attacks tend to happen. The less aligned you are. So when the attack happens and you get pushed off your course, and then you are happy being in the 3D version of yourself, then the entities don't tend to interfere so much. But the more you keep fighting against it and keep getting back on the path, they will notice that this one is a tough nut to crack, so we'll have to attack her more.
Wow, yeah, makes sense.
Would you like to actually tell the audience watching what is the difference between a light worker and a light warrior?
Okay, so anyone else wants to answer this?
No,
Harish?
please, you go.
Harish, would you like to?
I think Teja is better. Speak it.
Because whatever is channeling through me right now is making my neck very, very stiff. Like I'm unable to move my head too much. So I feel like the energy that is coming through me wants to give this information. Again, I don't know who this is, but I think I am probably channeling from some sort of a Galactic Federation system, because I'm seeing metal. I'm seeing a lot of spaceship type metals everywhere. Every time I'm blinking, I'm like getting images of that. But anyway, so light warriors and light workers are basically the same source of energy. But what happens is, in the spirit world, or when you're in your consciousness state, let's call it that, because spirit is a very, it's a term which is very commonly used in Earth, like in a human realm, because when we talk about spirit world, it means that consciousness in its truest actual form. It doesn't have a shape or a form. It just is, right? And that is very difficult for people to understand when we call it that. So consciousness in its truest form chooses then to activate in many multiple ways. And in such activation cases, a lot of bits of pieces of this consciousness decides that, okay, I'm going to be the source of all information, and they become scribes. They become people who are seers. If they choose to incarnate in physical forms, they tend to be people who are able to predict the future, or become astrologers or numerologists or things like that, who work with the future aspect of time. But there are others who choose to work on the spirit level of healing people, not the physical level, because the moment the spirit heals, the physical body will also have these changes happening to it automatically. And these finding words very difficult, sector of people, or sector of physical bodies that choose to have this kind of consciousness within them, they are the ones who you call healers. They're basically able to channel massive amounts of healing energy through them and supply to whoever is in need of this kind of energy to allow the system to reboot itself. So the physical bodies are nothing but robots, like in terms of the earthly plane. When we talk about these systems, we're looking at them as robotic systems that can be rebooted, recalibrated, reprogrammed in whichever way you want to program them, so that they can choose to they can choose to channel certain parts of that consciousness, whether it is the healing part of it or the warrior part of it. There are hybrids as well who are half healers and half warriors. And the warriors are basically the ones who have chosen to battle the system of the so-called negative impact of Earth, and also of the other maleficent beings that want to take over or take control and take away the free will that we have gifted Earth. Earth has free will, not every planet does. So this is something that most people don't realize and take it for granted. And when we watch humans on Earth, it is very disheartening to see that they choose not to exercise the free will that they have, which we don't sometimes get that choice. We have to follow orders, and we have to also sometimes have to do certain things in the good of the highest agenda, and that means the free will is taken away from us from time to time. There are planets that also survive completely devoid of any sort of free will, and if you were to expose your consciousness to those kind of entities or beings on these various systems, you would then realize what freedom that you have to create whatever you want to create on this planet Earth. So the warriors and the light workers are the same consciousness choosing to use that energy or consciousness in different ways and different forms. And the warrior energy is basically called upon when we are at battle on astral realms, and when we need more resources. Usually we take care of it, but most of the time we ask the astral energy bodies of these beings of consciousness that are channeling this energy to come through. And when we say astral warriors or light warriors, as you call them, they are also people who create change on your planet. The rebellions, the people who are fighting for a cause, they don't have to be spiritual in nature. They are the ones who are creating the change. Even your Gen Z, a lot of you have been complaining about how the human consciousness has changed so drastically, and have difficulty working with people who are being born in this time, and finding it difficult to communicate with them. And we would like to say that those people are also light warriors. They're the ones trying to massively impact the mindset consciousness that is in the physical realm that you exist on at the moment.
Thank you.
Wow.
That is beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my neck was so stiff. I don't even know who this is. This is the first time I'm channeling these people.
Just came out in a flow. Like,
I was getting Palladian energies.
Oh, I don't know. It's just they're there though. They stand by. They're like standing by, like, you know, they're like in some sort of a space outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is their skin or if it's a space outfit, but they're very lanky and tall. And I don't want to call them grays because I don't think that's what they want to be called as. But they're standing by. There are two of them. One is taller than the other. And I feel like I'm in a spaceship right now. Like I'm sitting in like a chair on the spaceship, and they're like right behind me. That's how I'm feeling. And it's very weird. I've never been on this craft before. I've never been on any craft before. And they're telling me, not like you will remember even if you are, but I don't know what I signed up for today, but okay, this is interesting.
They came to bless Harish with his elemental journey, looks like.
Yeah, true. No, I didn't mean to take away so much of your time, Harish. So let's get into that cleansing thing. And
you didn't do it. the beings came in. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah. No, but I opened the channel, right? I was telling, I was in my mind, I was like, whoever wants to contribute to this, whoever wants to. So they just jumped.
Good. It's good. Probably it was quiet.
You're also exercising free will with them.
So what happens next about the
So
mystery?
yeah, after you cleanse, you start with earth. Earth is a very grounding element. So you will feel so grounded. Actually, initially when you cleanse, you will be banishing earth. So you might feel like you have no interest in anything at all in life. You'll be like, what is happening? It's like I don't care about anything because you're just removing earth from your aura. So like there's not going to be earth inside you. So initially when you're cleansing, and then you'll feel really disinterested in everything. So initially when I started, I was asking Peter like, is this how it will be? Like, yeah, don't worry. When you start invoking, you will feel better. So after a prescribed time, you will start invoking earth. And what happens is you will feel so grounded. You feel like a rock. Like you will really feel the power of earth. Like you'll be so solid. It's a very dense energy, but in a good way. Like you'll feel like a tree. So rooted, and it'll be very difficult for people to convince you to do stuff. You'll be so grounded and rooted in your power, kind of like you're finding your foundation. So that's what happens during earth, and then you move to air. Air is like a wild element. It goes it'll open up your thoughts. You'll be having like a million thoughts a minute. So it'll be like, hey, I'm talking to Teja. Oh my God, she has a lovely top. Oh my God, my wife wanted to buy a top, right? Oh yeah, we were going to this place, and then we went to dinner. Hey, I met my friend at dinner, and it's just like going on. It won't stop, and before you know it, you're like, what was I even thinking about? So, and like, oh yeah, I was talking to Teja, right? And so that's how the mind will be like non-stop. And the idea of air is to control your thoughts, because as spiritual workers or warriors, you will manifest what you think. And yeah, I think Sanjay, you might know, like everything is mental. Everything is mental. So you will create as you think. So when we're in the body, we have less power. So our thoughts will take time to manifest, but as we imbibe more of these energies, we start going higher in vibration, and things will happen instantaneously. So you have to have mastery over your thoughts. You can't be thinking anything negative, else what happens in the astral, when you go in the astral realm, whatever you think will just appear right in front of you. So you have to be very careful. So this chapter is all about mastering your thoughts, and you'll have a lot of creativity, and you'll feel very flowy, like air. Like you want to dance, you want to move, all that stuff. It'll be like a contrast from earth. And then sexual energies, you will feel super horny. You will be like so air works with lust. So one of the one of the cardinal sins, and it blocks the sacral chakra as well. So it needs to remove lust from your body. So you will feel so lustful. You will be like an animal in heat. So you will. It's like it's very difficult to control. You'll be like supercharged, and so yeah. Again, it depends on your internal makeup as well. Like for example, if you are an air person, this is gonna just sound to be too much.
Wow.
So I'm a Gemini. My moon sign is Gemini. So already I'm like having a lot of these creative thoughts, and sexual energies are already high, and then this comes up, and it's like it was the most difficult for me. Air was very, very difficult, and but the idea is not to just go with it. It's to understand. It's like a light. When you're invoking these elements, it's like a light. It's lighting up your shadows, so you understand. Oh my God, why is this happening? So your gaze turns inward, and then you look at it rather than just like, oh my God, I'm gonna do whatever I want. It's like, okay, now this is there. What do I do with it? And you sit with it. So That's the idea. That's air, and then you move to water. Water is like unconditional love. It's such a beautiful element. You will feel so much love for everybody. It helps you to bring love to people you hate as well. It helps
Uh-huh.
to understand that, like, oh my God, okay, I can see this person in a new light, and it's so beautiful, and it's very calming, gentle, and again flowing. And because we'll be working with air for I think around 2-3 months, and then water is another 2 months. So by that time, you would have been like 5 months of being in flow, like, and then so it's like there's no grounding at all. Earth was like 6 months, 6, 7 months ago, and then it's like you won't feel very
Grounded.
grounded. But at any time, if you feel you're being consumed by the element, you can go back to any of the elements. So the idea of program is you become a magus, a magician. So you need to
Mhm.
know how to work with all these elements. You can't allow the outside to influence you. You should be a creator of your own destiny. So if you feel you're losing control, it's prudent to go back to any particular element to better yourself. But if you feel you can manage it, you can just go on. And so, yeah, water is about unconditional love. And again, what you will feel very sexual during water, but then the energy will be very different. It's not going to be lustful, it's going to be very loving. So there'll be that huge change. You'll feel so deeply loving, and so out of that love, the sexual energy will arise. So the rooting is different. So there'll be like a huge change in how you're being stimulated or attracted. So that's water, and then you move to fire. Again, air and fire are very similar. Air also works with your ego. It will point out where you have your ego. You'll keep understanding. Oh my God, I did this. I said that. That came out of my ego. So it'll help you pay attention to that and to your thoughts. Sometimes we don't do it, but we think it. Like,
Mhm.
Yes.
how dare he do that? And
True.
then you're like, why did I say that? Because you'll be so focused on your thoughts. Like, oh, okay. And then, oh, he got this new car. Oh my God. And then you're like, oh, there's jealousy coming. So where did that come from? And then, and then suddenly you go somewhere like, I don't feel good. Okay, that's an inferiority complex. Where is that coming from? So you'll constantly
Become
uh,
aware.
aware of your thoughts, and that's from
Mm.
ego. So like most of your egoic thoughts is not going to be from your heart. So mind, it's unless you want to do something productive, it's going to be. And again, if it's productive, am I doing this out of ego to gain fame, popularity, or am I doing this as a honest work? So similarly, that will reflect in fire as well. Fire again will burn your ego, and you will whatever was left, remaining after air will start again in fire, and fire will help you become so still. All
Fire.
that, yeah, that flowiness, that I'm just floating away. I don't know what's happening. All that you'll be like. It's very easy to be still in fire. I don't know why, but it's like with fire, you can just sit still and say, I'm going to be still, and then you're going to be still. Probably, I think it's because there's been a lot of work already done with the elements earlier. So all the noise has been thrown out.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
fire, the only thing is with fire, it will really work on your anger. So, if any place where you have, anger reserved, it will come bursting up, and you're
Mhm.
supposed to work on it. Different people have uh, mentioned different experiences. Like one person said for him, fire was the most difficult thing. He's like, I was so angry all the time. I was so triggered. I, like anything that happens, I'll burst out. So he was suggesting, like, please be careful when you start working with fire. But for me, it was air. So again, for my teacher, for him, he also said air was difficult, and he said, but it's a fun element. It's fun, but you just feel there's like a lot of air. And he said for him also, he said fire was very easy for him, probably because he was already Kundalini awakened. So he said that fire's energy kind of matched with the Kundalini, and it helped. So that's fire. And when you move to spirit, fire is a very long process. It will clear all. It's going to burn the karma out of every chakra. It's like a 7 month process, and then you start invoking spirit. When you invoke spirit, you're going to invoke all the elements together. It's now going to create balance. Spirit, you'll have to work for 9 months. So it's like you're going to be reborn, just like a newborn baby. Like when you came out,
beautiful.
9 months you were in your mom's womb and came out. Now you're going to be in your own womb, but you're going to shape yourself the way you want yourself to be. So the 9 months of invocation of spirit, and then that's when you finish the outer order and then you move to the inner. So
you don't become an avatar by then?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. So they call this the great work. Any mystery school, they call this the great work, because this is like, again,
over a period of time.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I won't say it's the greatest thing, because for some people, just having a loving relationship is the greatest thing. So that's very, it depends from person to person, but it's a good thing a person can do in a life to improve them, to become a better being. So
what happens after spirit?
So after spirit, you have two paths. You're supposed to do both the paths, but you can choose which one you want to operate. One is planetary magic. So now elements are done.
So cool.
Time to go into the planets. So what we do is, so you can start working with the planets, the moon, and the 7 planets. I mean,
8, 9.
Nine.
No, we don't work with Neptune and Uranus up to Saturn.
Okay.
So Saturn, Sun, and Moon. So just like our
astrological charts.
Yeah. So there's a particular order in which you invoke the planets. So what happens is, like in after you, that's I think again for 7 months, because 7 planets, 7 months. What happens is you understand the planet's energies, and whenever you need a particular planet's energy, you can call that upon. So, for example, you want to do something really, you're motivated and you want action. You can call upon Mars, and that day you'll be so driven. Mars is fire and driven, and you'll be action oriented. Sometimes you want love, you can call upon Venus, and sometimes you want some abundance and blessings.
Jupiter.
Yeah. So you become a master of your life. So the idea of this entire alchemy is, in the Hermetic principles, we have this law of cause and effect.
Yeah.
So you are no longer going to be an effect. Okay, you will cause, right? You're gonna, and for all of this to happen, you have to burn your ego. You cannot have any ego, else you will do this. Suddenly you want abundance. You'll say, okay, I want to call upon Jupiter. That's gonna create a huge a plethora of negative karma into your life. You cannot operate out of the mind. It has to come from a higher, from the highest will. So
with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. So that is why this preliminary work is required, so that we use the planetary energies not for our own personal good, but for the greater good. And the greater good again shouldn't be from the mind. Sometimes the world should die, the world should end. And if we no, I'm going to control the planets and the elements, and then make sure this earth is, the earth lives, just to save it, thinking that I feel, I'm a nice person, I want to save the planet. No, but what is the bigger picture? Probably earth should crumble, and out of that ashes we might have a new civilization. So we should be connected beyond, understanding the bigger arc, and allow things to die, allow things to perish, allow ourselves to fail if need be. So for that,
this is the conversation we had that day about the tsunamis and the earth, because when the earth moves, there will be a lot of earthquakes and tsunamis as well. So, and I have been seeing tsunamis in my dreams for the past couple of years. I'm just like preparing myself for when it comes, sort of a situation. It's a when instead of a if it comes. It's not an if, it is a when.
Yeah.
So I was just telling Harish that what if all our loved ones die, and how will we live and how will we go on? And this was his answer. He was like, if it happens, it happens, right? Like, I mean, that is for the greater good of things. And I'm like, wow, I won't be able to see it in that way. So that again, like he says, it comes from self, because we are worried about what will happen to us if our loved ones are not there, or what will happen to them if we are not there. It's again from a self-related perspective. I wouldn't call it selfish, but it's more like a self-related thing, because you can do a lot of things that are somewhat called selfish for the greater good as well, but it is also trying to figure out the difference between what is actually for the greater good and what is for your greatest good. The difference over there. So you said there were two parts. One is the planetary.
Yeah, of course, the planetary. So after you finish the planetary invocations, you'll understand all these planetary energies, and you'll no longer be influenced by your astrological chart.
Oh, that's
Because
so
some
cool.
people will have a time when they have Saturn ruling, their lives, and they'll feel bad. And sometimes, they'll have Jupiter, they'll feel really good. So all those can be negated, and you will be in control of your life. Again, it shouldn't come from the mind, because then you'll say, no, I don't want Saturn. I'm going to invoke Jupiter and be prosperous and happy. No, probably that time you do need Saturn. So, okay. But if need be, if, something needs to be done, these tools are always there where you can, pull upon a particular planet and change certain things. So, yeah, that is plan. Next is Enochian magic. So that is like the greatest magic. We are not even supposed to look at those pages. He said it will create a lot of, you'll be opening portals to unknown things, and you don't know what might come through. So don't even look at that. So I haven't even looked at it. I've only read what he mentioned.
It takes great willpower not to look at it.
Yeah, you can't. So I, like, me being this, me, I've always non-disciplined. I used to like jump, like I don't care. But this course, I don't know, probably all the hardships that have been come through life has made me like, okay, just listen to him. So he'd say, don't do anything new. Even when I was doing Tai Chi, I will be like, I'll try something random, and then my master will come and say, no, you have to do that. Like, okay, like, us, no, our spirits, we don't like to be confined. We just like to do things our way, and but this thing, he said, just don't do anything. Just stick to my word and do it exactly. And I'm like, just doing it exactly. Even when I was doing Earth, I thought, okay, let me go with my feeling. I was telling him, I think I need to invoke Earth more for some more time. Just stick to the program. Just stick to the program. And everybody, we have this group. They're like, stick to the program. Don't do anything new. Okay. Once all this is done, we can do all crazy stuff. But then, yeah. So getting back to Enochian magic. So Enoch was a ancient magus. He was in touch with extraterrestrials. There's also a book of Enoch where he's written a lot about this. So he was.
Many cultures also refer to Enoch as the name of God.
Could be. Because he was like a rishi, or godlike, and he could control everything. So he has. So that's why the mystery school has put together multiple things, together as a curriculum. So this they've taken from Enoch, and there's a list of rituals that can be done, and which will transform your life. To I don't know but then it's like they've all said that's kind of like that's where everybody found their resting place in Enochian magic. All these great magic.
So you have to choose between the planetary.
No. You can do both. You're supposed to do both. But you can choose which to do first. Like this. So you can either go with planetary magic, finish that, then move to Enochian, or do Enochian and then come back to this. So you can access different realms. You can open portals. You can communicate with different beings. So all that. There are some spirits. There's a separate invocation in the appendix where you can invoke some spirits called Olympian spirits. So they will, this ancient
Greek gods.
it could be the gods. It could be some demigods,
Olympians, yeah, they usually they're referred to as Greek gods.
Greek gods. Yeah, but their names are pretty different. I don't know why, but
Probably
again, I haven't touched that
origin,
yet
yeah.
because again, just looking at it, I could feel like something was happening. I was like, oh,
So
so
I think
no,
we should talk to you once you've done the Enochian magic, and then
yeah, definitely we will
see the
have a,
magic happen.
yeah. So that will be then we will talk in 2026 March or April.
Awesome.
Because
We're
yeah,
making
Yes.
appointments now only.
no, I'm just telling you, it's gonna take a long time because 7 months of fire and 9 months of spirit.
Correct.
That itself is like 16
And then
months. So
planetary magic.
planetary may not I be too eager to get into Enochian. So
But I feel understanding the planetary magic would give you a better understanding of Enochian magic.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Again, I don't know how I know this, but that is what they're saying to me. So,
probably coming through. Oh, they have to wait another 7 months. I can't.
so end of 2026 is when
Oh.
it will be Amagus.
We'll do one thing. We after I finish Spirit, we will have a session, and then we will ask, should I go with this or that? Because
They're already telling you that, so it's like end of
So
2026 is when you'll become that magus. Like
okay.
you will reach that state of magic.
Okay. Thank you, Teja. Thank you.
And after that, will they give missions
Uh,
across the cosmos?
yeah, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I feel you will have access to your agreements before this incarnation. So you will step into your power completely. So I don't think anyone will tell you what to do, but you will understand, oh, this is why I came here. So can I do that? And again, it's up to you. You can not do it, or if you want, you can do it. I mean, as Teja said, it's free will. So it's up to you. Suddenly you might feel you want to do something else. So again, your higher self wouldn't mind because you are in control. You are like higher self is like a coach outside the stadium, but you're in the field playing. So it's up to you to make the decision. They can only give you advice,
Yes.
and whatever you do is always appreciated, and it's never looked down upon or criticized or anything. You always appreciate. Even if
They're
you
adding something to what Harish is saying. They're telling me that to answer your question, whether they'll send you on missions, it is not like you're not sent on missions. Even now, you are being sent on missions in an astral level, and you're not aware of it because when your consciousness comes back into the physical body, the memory of those missions are removed so that it doesn't affect your day to day as a human on this planet because you're having multiple experiences at the same time. So, in the physical body and in the astral realms, there are multiple dimensions, timelines that you have access to, which your spirit rather has access to. And the lowest form is your human form, where you are most focused on. So, if you had knowledge or memory of all of the things that are happening in these multiple realms, then you won't be able to function sanely in the human body. Having said this, they're also saying that after Harish finishes his training, he will then be aware of the missions he's also going, not just in the physical body but on the astral body, because it's easy to remember missions given to you in a physical body, but in the astral the memory is not kept in the physical body. So in that magical state he will be in, he will be able to then know the missions he's going on in the astral and in the physical. In the physical, he can choose whether or not to go on those missions, but in the astral states, the soul has already made decisions of going. There is they don't get to say no because that is what they're meant to do. If they have chosen that particular path, they will respond to the call. It's like what happened with me in during COVID time, right? I didn't know I was a light warrior till then because I would wake up with bruises all over my body. And I was wondering why was I having all these scratches and blood clots and all sorts of things and pain, like being punched in the ribs or something of that sort. And later on, I understood that at that point there was an astral battle that was going on, and many of us were called to be part of that battle, and we got beaten up as well. So that is the bruises that manifested in the physical body. So that is also possible. But I had no memory of it until I physically saw evidence that something happened. And then others in the spiritual community kind of collaborated, saying that they also were waking up with bruises and with scratches and all of those things. And that is when we realized that okay, this is new. And then okay, I'm going back and forth from third person to first person, but they're saying like Teja asked to be shown her warrior weapon, and they showed it to me, and it's damn cool. And if you are a warrior as well, if you just ask them to show it to you in a meditation, they will show you the weapon. If you're a warrior and if you've chosen to fight in the astral field, you will be shown the weapon. But if you're a healer, then they may not show it to you because you have made a choice to heal the souls that are going on that astral battle.
Yeah.
So,
and also, we just hold the space also, right?
Yeah.
Like all these other light workers just hold the space for the
it depends.
warriors.
So even when these battles happen, like say for example, even if you're running a kingdom, you'll have different battalions, right? You won't call all the battalions for one battle. You will only keep sending in batches whoever needs to go. So it's not that everyone needs to go for that particular battle. It depends. So there are people who also work on the grid, Earth grid. There are Earth grids not just on the planet Earth, but around Earth as well, like a lattice work of energy, there. And all these grids are they were strengthened during the COVID time, like during 2020 onwards. And a lot of you were working on that astrally. And to protect that was what the battle was for. Because there were energies wanted to disrupt that grid that the Earth required to expand her consciousness, and that grid was very important to protect or activate certain things in Earth for her consciousness, and that was being attacked, and that is why the astral battle happened. So. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It's interesting to talk about all of these things. And we also were talking about how a lot of us, even if we don't go through this whole magic school, mystery school kind of a process, there are many right now on Earth who are waking up to this knowledge already as is. Like it's just coming to them. Like when Harish was talking about these, astral travels and opening portals and such, I have been doing that unconsciously for a very long time as well. I just feel like, okay, I need to open a portal here to send these entities through this portal and close the portal behind it, right?
Yes.
And now when he's saying it, I'm wondering to myself, how did I get that knowledge to open that portal? Right?
Yeah.
So it is innate in us. You can remember it through experience, or you can remember it like going to one of these mystery schools and learning the process so that it's quicker activation. With me, it would have taken me, say, for the last 20 years, 30 years to get to this place of awareness. With Harish, it'll be like a rapid awakening that would happen in the next couple of years. And that is why we are saying in 2026 is when you should actually talk to him, because he will be able to do magic. Like, for real.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you.
How long have you been doing these practices for?
I started in January this year.
This Jan.
Yeah, I was actually reading the material from November last year. So it's I've been in touch with the material for a year. So I started in Jan, and then progressively went through the elements, and now I'm in fire. So let's see.
And why is this kept a secret? Why isn't it knowledge that everybody should be having?
So esoteric generally means hidden knowledge, okay, or knowledge that is kept secret, not because they want to keep it a secret. It is just they don't know how people would have misused it with that kind of power. Like he was saying, unless you remove your ego state, you can't really harness the purity of that particular element or that particular magic that you're channeling. But at the same time, once you mastered it, you can bend it to your will. If you have negative agendas or agendas of control or power, you can still use it. The repercussions are not going to be immediate, but by the time that happens, you may or may not be around to receive it. But your family or your lineage is the one that are going to experience those repercussions. So many people were asked not to get into it because one, they wouldn't have been able to handle those kind of energies, and two, it was heresy. Like a lot of people would have hung you upside down and
Oh,
beaten you to
my
death,
God.
Yeah.
because a lot of this energies were not understood well back then. It's only now that people are becoming more aware of these energies, because the see Earth's incarnation,
Hmm.
this is not new. The earth has incarnated more than 60, 70 times already. So the life or the entire process has already happened many times. It's only now that it's come into a state of alignment with the energies that it's traveling through in the universe as well, that is allowing it to expand its consciousness rapidly. So we are hoping that the same mistakes are not done
Done.
the way it was done before for us to get destroyed. If you if you've had incarnations on old Earth, like Teja's had, then you will understand that magic has always existed. It's not new, but the way the magic was interpreted and used for you know greed or power or things that are not for the highest good of the people around was why a lot of these secret societies formed and decided to keep that information secret till it was time to allow the information to come out. So Golden Dawn is doing that now by giving away the information to select people. Again, it's a process. Like not everyone can do what Harish is doing. It's a very disciplined approach to understanding the magic that is within him. But
Mhm.
it can be understood in many different ways. Just tapping into it internally is something that we would recommend. It's easier to do if you don't want to follow the disciplined path. But yeah, that is why the information was kept hidden for a very long time. It was actually not hidden, it was in plain sight. But people
Yeah.
did not see it because they were not aware of it.
It wasn't given to their logical
Yes.
selves.
Or
So,
was there a veil put, like for everything else, when you are mentally ready or you have done your work, you get to a certain level, then you are drawn to such schools,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, because I think the frequency wouldn't match. Even if
Mm.
it's in front of you, people wouldn't have been attracted to it. They'd be like, "What is this? I don't want it." Only
Yeah.
when you come to a particular level, the vibration will kind of attract the
It's the same
seeking.
with the work that we're doing now. When we're
Mm.
telling them, come, we'll give you free information, people are like, oh my God, don't know what this is. We don't.
Yeah.
But if someone says, I charge 1 lakh for 10 minutes, people are like, I want it. So it's a mindset issue more than anything
Mm.
else. And once people understand that the more they live in the duality of things, the more they're going to get stuck in that loop. They won't be able
Yes.
to come out of it. So the more they see it from that, yes, no exist, right, wrong exist, but also they both exist simultaneously. That
Mhm.
is the reality that the consciousness is now shifting into. You had a question, Sushma?
yeah. So, what you were saying, and I think most people struggle to understand that basic karmic energy buildup that Harish first brought up, and even you just sometimes even your family or your others around you could face it. I think what is karmic energy, karmic build-up that you are clearing, Harish and Teja? Like, what? How do we explain that to people?
So I mean, anything. It's like the universe. Probably Teja can answer it. I mean, she'll have some real amazing thing coming through. I know. Am I stopping? You want to go?
No. I wanted you to answer it.
Okay. So the thing is like since and whatever we do to the fabric, it's gonna if we uh, twist it, it's gonna twist back. So even if you put good, good will come back. If you put bad, bad will come back. So when we say karmic, we only talk about the bad, because good we always say, oh, it's nice, nice. So bad. So when we do something bad, I mean, again, not to be judgmental, but something unhealthy,
Mm.
it's going to come back to us. So that is what we're saying. So when we keep doing multiple things that aren't healthy, it's going to build and it's going to explode. For example, somebody is jealous, and then this is not an act, but then like, I'm jealous, I'm jealous, I'm jealous, I'm jealous, I'm jealous. You're going to block your chakra with so much of negative energy, and you're going to slowly attract a person who's also going to be jealous about you.
Mm.
So that's going to give you that whatever evil eye that a person threw on another person, he's going to attract that. That is why when a person who's like supremely loving and kind, he's not going to attract any jealousy. He might be abundant, he might be living a luxurious life, but people will only be happy for him because that's the energy emanates. So if you're going, if for that to emanate, you should have unblocked chakras and zero karmic, negative karmic energies in your body. Because then, if you're going to have a lot of these bad karmic energies, it's automatically going to attract people. And say, oh, look at him! He has a big car. How can he have that car? Like, why can't I have it? And then something's going to happen to your car because this person. And as per the hermetic principles, and nothing just happens. Everything has a cause and an effect. Every single thing. There's no such thing that just randomly happens. So even if you're walking and then a thorn pricks you, and then there's a reason, because of all the space, a tiny thorn pricks us. Like, how? There must be a reason.
Yeah. So we would like to simplify that by just saying that the frequency you put out, that's the frequency you will get back. So if you put the frequency of love, you will receive the frequency of love. Same with other emotions and feelings that you're experiencing at this moment. So the moment you think of abundance, you will attract the frequency of abundance. But if you think that I need to save, I don't have enough money, I can't do this because I don't have the opportunities, that's the frequency you are putting out. So that is what you will receive. So karma or karmic cycles kind of follow that principle of frequency. And also, if there are lessons that you have chosen to experience, or the term lessons sounds too dramatic for us to say, but when we are saying that there are souls that choose to have incarnations in the human body, they want to experience all the emotions that the humans can have in a physical body, the plethora of emotions, whether it is love or hatred or jealousy or revenge or whatever it is. And it is absolutely fine for you to experience or choose to experience these emotions in whichever way you want to. We're not asking you to become neutral. We're not asking you to have no emotions and be in a neutral state of being. That is not what the human experience is for. But there are a lot of you who have chosen to experience certain types of emotions, say for example loss or grief. And when a person goes through something of that sort, there are also lessons associated with how to deal in such cases. Like if there was a loss of some finances, or if there was a person that you loved who died in the physical body, then the way you go about living in the physical form after that is a lesson that you need to learn. So whether you learn to understand from that person's death and learn from it and contribute positively in the future, that is up to you. But if you choose not to do that, then you, once you leave your physical body, will feel that experience was left undone, and you might choose to reincarnate again to have the same or similar kind of experience, to have the same or similar kind of outcome, that lesson that you need to learn. And that is why the word lesson would is easier for us to use, so that you can understand. So the lessons that you have chosen to learn in this incarnation, if they have been left unlearned, then it's like repeating a class. Once you learn it, have more experience with that human experience, and then you move forward. Have another experience. It is not about humans having a spiritual experience. It is about a spiritual being having a human experience. And this we have said multiple times again and again. And this is something people need to understand. It will simplify everything. people who are religious on earth and who are fighting crimes in the name of God and killing people in the name of religion need to understand that it is not about becoming spiritual. You are already spiritual beings having a physical human experience. That means you need to experience the human emotions of love, kindness, joy, compassion, all the highest frequencies, and also the lower frequencies of revenge, hatred, anger, you name it. There are so many that we don't get to experience unless we are in that human body. Does that
So I have a question right there with that. So if that is the case, right? We are meant to experience all the emotion, the platonic of emotions, right? So why is that if we experience a certain emotion, our chakras get blocked, and a certain emotion we experience, our chakras are opened? Shouldn't it be kind of neutral for us, for to us experience all the experiences that is there, all the emotions that is there? But then we are told, okay, if you express hatred, you lower your frequency and go to a lower frequency. You experience love or gratitude, which is the highest of frequencies. So you are in a different energy frequency altogether. Why is there such a massive difference in positive and negative? Why is there a distinguishing factor?
So there's like, it's not bad. Negative or again, blocking is not bad. It's just a repercussion. That's it. Universe just shows if you do this, this will happen. It is a human mind that says, oh, we shouldn't be blocked. We should be open. Could be blocked, not a problem. It just shows that if you do this, if you operate out of this emotion, this is what's going to happen. If you operate out of this emotion, this is going to happen. That's it. It's just an understanding. And for example, we voluntarily we go to horror movies to experience fear, right? It's just we enjoy, and then we go to a comedy movie to experience laughter. So it's just as we choose to enjoy that emotion. So we want to experience revenge and rage. Okay, experience that, but then this is going to happen. Okay, if you want, you can continue to, experience that again and again. Till then, where we get to a point where we say, okay, let me try to experience something else. I need to move to this, a different aspect, a different emotion, and then we start working towards being open. Again, it is not like this needs to be done or that needs to be done. It's just that when you do this, this is going to happen.
So what we would like to add to that is that if there is no contrast, how are you going to learn? If there is no hot, how will you know about the cold? If there is no love, how will you know about hatred? So these emotions are very crucial for you to have a human experience. And when you are in a body that is conscious in itself, which has nothing to do with your consciousness, your consciousness and the body's consciousness are coexisting in a way. And this system, like we had referred to it earlier as being robotic, because it is a system. So the system has certain energy highways through which the energy flows, and that is what you refer to as chakras or nadis or meridian points in other cultures. So when the energy is flowing through the system, your body is able to be in its optimal functioning state. But at the same time, if say you have a car, which is the most fanciest of cars, has an amazing engine, and instead of petrol you put water in it and expect it to go in the same way as the car with the petrol in it, how is it going to work? So when you are inhibiting a conscious being, which is your physical body, there are certain give and takes that you need to do. There is a respect, there's a boundary that you can't cross. Otherwise, it would be detrimental to the physical body you are occupying presently. You are just temporarily renting this conscious body. You're not the owner of it. So the body has a system that needs to work in an optimal way. And when you have experiences of higher frequencies of love, joy, authenticity, the body is being given the energy to fuel its highway systems in the body to keep it optimally functioning for you to have a human experience. But the moment you choose to have experiences that are heavier, the body is still going to function, but will have trouble moving in the way that you want to move in your human experience. Does that make sense? So when that movement gets restricted, the body systems are colliding or there's friction forming and illness kind of takes over. And the illness is nothing but your system throwing up error reports. Error, there's something going on, right? And the moment you pay attention to these error reports and rectify it, the system becomes optimal again. That is a learning experience that most of you who are incarnated in the human body want to experience in the first place.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That how you could correct these emotions in case you go off track. That is also an experience.
Yes.
So when you are referring to your energies being blocked, it is something that you're doing to yourself. Nobody's doing to you. You are choosing to experience that so that you can unblock it at a later time and understand, oh, I have this power because I'm a spiritual being. And with that energy, you are able to then work with the consciousness of the physical body, which is, again, we remind you, is separate from your consciousness. So when you're renting a house, you will have to take care of that house.
Yes.
And it is the same thing that you have made a contract with this physical body that you have been given so graciously, because there are many souls waiting to incarnate and don't have opportunities to incarnate in these physical bodies.
That's so well put. Love is the fuel for the system.
Yes, love,
I think-
authenticity, joy, all the highest emotions are the fuel that will keep the body optimized. We're not saying that revenge and anger and all of these are bad emotions or emotions you should not have, but choose to have them in portions, like when you go on a diet.
But for somebody to actually be at their peak state of expressing these emotions, and say another individual is witnessing all of this, for this individual witnessing these things would call this person, okay, why is he doing this, right? He wouldn't understand this person is going through his journey, where at this point, maybe he has to commit a crime even, right? But we, the outside people who do not understand this, do not look at it as if it's this lesson to learn, right? Because we live in a community, a society. We have certain fixed systems in place to actually maybe control the societies. So we have termed things good and bad. Certain actions has to be done. Like earlier Harish also was saying, Earth has to go through different cycles. It has to diminish for new life to actually form. Similarly, in societies, there are people who are doing good, there are people who are doing bad. But when we actually start labeling each thing as good and bad, then we look at it also as good and bad. We start to inscribe those goodness and badness into us, right? Ideally, if you look at it, is there really anything good and bad?
No.
Aren't those all just experiences that we are having?
No, so there is no good and bad. There is no right and wrong. It is the human expression that you have very clearly explained, which is right and wrong in the perspective of a human mind, right? And
Yes.
those who are killing people or doing crimes are also doing it for the greater good of that particular community of people they're connected with.
Yes.
So if Hitler did not do what he was supposed to do, there wouldn't be massive consciousness shift on Earth.
Yes.
He, in fact, is controversial topic, but could have been an ascended master. So ascended masters need not all be kind, compassionate souls. They can come as Hitlers, creating fear and havoc and chaos. Even Genghis Khan, for that matter, was a ascended master. So all of these people bring massive changes very quickly.
Exactly. Yes.
So it is possible that the soul that is experiencing that human life has a greater agenda which you are not aware of. So if you are looking at that soul from a human perspective, obviously it's wrong. It's obviously right. Obviously it is horrific. But if you are not looking at it in any way, if you're just witnessing it, being the observer, and not attaching anything to it, then it won't become right or wrong. It is just an experience, right?
Yes.
Now we are asking you, with the knowledge that you already have about this, which we know you already have, why is it important that everyone should have that same sort of perspective on right and wrong and good and bad?
I feel it is because, as I was just saying, because we live in a society, whatever we do, the others actually have an influence at it, or they at least have an energy that they send regarding it. Say you do anything bad, at least, right? They think it is bad, but I don't think it is bad. So it is a perspective that they have telling or thinking what you're doing is bad. But in my mind, this is absolutely perfect right now. I need to do this. I need this lesson, right? So
Yes.
for me to actually stand back and witness their expression, I think would be a lesson for me I think for
Like
all of you
Harish was
also
talking about, is the
imbibe it.
ego state.
Okay. Yes, I just wanted to add. So, Sanjay, when we say good and bad, it comes from judgment.
Hmm.
So we judge. This is right. This is wrong. And
Yes.
ego loves to judge
Mhm.
because when the ego says I am right and he is wrong, the ego feels superior. And one of the biggest what do I say boosts for the ego is to know that it's superior.
Yeah.
So as spirit, we know we're all the same. So there is absolutely no difference. Whether he's a beggar or he's a rich man, he's beautiful or ugly, at spirit level we're the same. So spirit knows that. But the ego likes to say, no, I'm better. So that is why the ego has this drama where it always wants to judge and say, I'm right, that person is wrong. So that it can feel superior. The minute we judge anything, we judge like, oh, that's a beautiful house. This is a bad house. He's a good person. That's a bad. Those thoughts come from the ego. So immediately we'll have to look inward and say, oh, this is from my ego. The ego is judging. I don't need to judge. It's easier to understand the mechanisms. But
Do we need all these names? Is my actual question.
you don't
Like,
need
do we really need to
If you do
tag
not
them?
want to use the names, you do not have to use those names.
yeah.
It is up to you to choose whether you want to refer to it as good and bad or just an experience.
Hmm.
It is just communication that is so limited here on earth that use these words or these labels to express what they think their perspective is or their point of view is, and that is why these words exist. In our language these words don't exist at all because there is no duality in the realms that we exist on.
Mhm.
So when we are talking to you about these being labels of expression, it's
Mhm.
just that, why do you call love love and why do you call hate hate? Why
Exactly.
do those labels even exist? Right? Those are also dualities.
Hmm.
They're also extremes. But like Harish was saying, it is to kind of know that there is an ego that exists, becoming aware of that ego, and then kind of circumventing it or being able to overpower it so that you
Mhm.
become a state of awareness and you only operate from that state of awareness rather than dipping into your physical consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And also,
another question I want to ask you, Harish.
Sorry, Harish was saying
Harish,
something.
sorry.
I think we also seek validation. So when we're doing something nice, and a lot of people are saying bad, you whatever you like, as Sanjay is saying, what you're doing is bad. It doesn't matter. As you said, it doesn't matter. Like I know what I'm doing is right. Again, there's another twisted thing. The ego might think that, oh, I know I'm good. I know what I'm doing is good. Again, we have to be so aware and so in our presence, understanding where is it coming from. Is it because I truly feel it in my heart? Then it's okay. Again, that is one. Next is when we are worried about what the other person thinks. Again, it's the ego's need for validation. When
Hmm.
everybody, oh, what you're doing is good. What you're doing is good. Then the ego feels boosted. Feels okay, okay. The minute somebody says, "What are you doing, man?" We feel, we feel a bit lower. So whenever there's this rise and fall, it's from the ego. We need to pay attention to that. Whenever there's a boost and a drop, that means it's from the ego. Being superior is also from ego. Feeling inferior is also from ego. From the heart, there is no. It's always neutral.
Neutral.
So yeah, every time we feel when we're worried about another person's opinion, that means we have an ego. So there's like very interesting thing. Like, some people are shy. So I used to think, oh, what a nice person, such a shy person. Oh, cute little girl, so shy. Being shy is from ego. I never knew that.
Oh.
How? Because if you're shy, that means you have an image, okay? And you're so afraid to put it out of the fear that it will get damaged. So you don't put it out. You just say, no, it's okay. Let me be in my own little self. But then you're so afraid to showcase yourself. So people think people who are extroverts are egoistic people because they always love attention. I go there, and you always want attention. That is from ego. That's very easy to understand. But being an introvert, again, it's from ego because you're so afraid that image that you have within yourself might get tarnished. So a friend came to me, a very interesting story. He said, I am introvertishly extrovert. That means I don't have ego. I said, that means you have double ego because with the people you're safe, with the people you're safe with, you kind of showcase yourself, and in situations where you're not safe, you kind of withdraw. So that means you're boosting your ego and protecting your ego everywhere you go. So.
And that is why it's important to be in your authentic frequency, whatever it is, whether you're someone who's shy or someone who is extroverted or introverted. Be that person in that moment. If that is the choice that you want to make, to be in that moment. Like right now, when Teja is talking to you, and we are talking to her at the same time, it is the fact that she is being in that self of allowing this to happen. If she were to say that, oh, I am channeling something, let me get into a mode where I actually look like I'm channeling something, then that is coming from a place of creating an image of some sort that again operates from place of ego. And we're not saying she's devoid of ego, she has a lot of it, but it is just that becoming aware of it and making a choice then how to respond is what we are asking you to do as well. So it is, when we make I statements, it's very easy to understand that that is where it's coming from. It's coming from a place of self and self-image and self, whatever the self wants. But that doesn't mean you don't make any I statements. We make I statements as well, especially when one particular energy wants to come through and express itself. It is okay to use I statements, but the way you use the I statements are what matter. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Sushma, do you have any questions?
I'm actually taking some notes also. I thought it was so interesting.
Yes. So this is a conversation that can go on. And we were also supposed to be channeling more information regarding the Earth and the pole shift, which we might have to hold off for a bit because I think the energies that y'all were talking about is too sensitive at the moment for us to give you more information from a global perspective. It would just probably be misunderstood at the moment is what we're trying to say, but it's fine. I mean, we are open to giving you this information. It is just that the conversation has gone to in a direction that is more interesting, we feel, and more informative for many people. And I think the term ego needs to be explored more. So if you guys ever decide to do another podcast and if you invite us to join in, then we might give you more perspectives on what ego is and how it is also good, not just bad to have. There are many perspectives. And you, as you live on a free will planet, you can choose whichever perspective suits you best. Yes?
Sounds good.
All right. Do you all have any questions about what we have discussed so far?
Many questions, but we don't want the podcast to go on for 2 days, I guess.
Go ahead, Sushma, ask.
Go ahead.
But there's more questions on ego actually. But as you mentioned, we can wait for the next podcast and make it about that, because that karma and ego, and you said a very interesting thing, that sometimes being selfish is also for the highest good of everyone. But it's very difficult to understand for many people. And how to gauge, because when I'm operating for my ego self, I think I am operating for the highest good of everyone. Right.
Yes.
Like, I'm a blessing for the world. So that
You are.
is so that's very difficult to. I think if we go into it a bit in detail and try to maybe answer it in a way that this is how you feel inside, or how to intuit that in like a tool or a method way, or someone starting off to even understand these concepts, abstract concepts on this, to try to make out the difference.
You can
We
sign
think
up for
Harish
my
is already.
workshop.
Yeah. We were going to say that Harish was already working on these tools and he has all those tools.
Awesome.
So
Yeah,
you can
we
sign up
should.
for
Yeah,
Harish's workshop.
we should then have another podcast on that workshop. What are we going to discuss on the workshop?
Yeah.
So then we'll know what
But
we
I
will
feel
achieve further.
especially it's good for everybody, but people on the spiritual path, it's really, really important because
Mhm.
people do a lot of meditation, but still there are certain areas where they get angry. They get triggered, and
Yeah.
it's kind of, and then they feel like, I've been meditating for so long, I've been doing yoga for so long, but still this is happening. And there are different situations for different people which messes up their balance. So to understand that, it's once we understand ego in all its glory, it's very
Yeah.
easy to know where I'm falling. Else, we'll always think that that person made the mistake. Oh my God, I've been good. He's
Yeah.
coming home. But there are multiple stories. We can do that on the podcast because everything has a story, and
Correct.
so which can explain ego better. Yeah. So yeah, for spiritual people who are looking to become the best versions, ego is the most important. I mean, again, it's from my perspective. I feel it's really, really important because once they understand, they have the tool to be at peace no matter what the external situations are.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think just to understand what is ego. So,
yeah, exactly.
like Teja was saying, there are two systems now we're working with, the body consciousness and our spirit
Yeah,
consciousness. So,
yeah.
is ego everything about protecting the body consciousness only?
And also
So,
multiple things. Image. There's also an image. You have an image of yourself, which is
then, it's like we're avoiding the free will of the body consciousness to operate, right?
no, there
No,
is
so the
something called
ego.
yeah. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Teja.
go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So fun topic this.
Yeah. So what you were saying about the ego consciousness of the body, that is the one that we are saying is good to have, but
Yes.
not the one with the spirit, because the ego consciousness of the body helps in protecting any physical harm to be done to the body, and that is required to a certain level. And that is what we were trying to say, that there are two different types of ego minds, and the one that is protecting the body and the emotional state and the mental state, in the way we describe it is the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, the astral body. There are different types of bodies. So the astral body or the spiritual body, that ego that comes from there is what could be detrimental, but the body ego that the consciousness has is sometimes required to protect the physical, emotional, and mental states. And that is where the healthy boundary system also comes into play,
Exactly.
which is not again
Yes.
coming from a place of ego, like most people when
Yeah.
people say that, oh, I have a boundary and I'm not going to cross that, they immediately assume that, oh, you're so egoistical.
No.
Why are you operating from that space of, are you greater than me? No, but they're protecting themselves. That is something that is very highly misunderstood when it
Correct.
comes to ego. And this is what we were saying, that there is so many multiple layers when it comes to ego. And probably in another podcast, when Harish
Yes.
joins us next, he can explain more about the ego states and probably do a mini workshop.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All
You can
right.
do that. Yeah.
The perks of having healers as friends.
Yes. All right. So we'll conclude this podcast now because it's been quite a long time, and we will see you again in another one. Anyone wants to say anything before we go?
Any sneak peek into the pole shift? Any tiny bit information?
Into the pole shift,
Pole
is it?
shift.
Yeah.
Like that's what we were saying, right? The pole shift is happening. It is a fact. We were discussing this earlier.
Yeah.
The pole is shifting, and it has been shifting for quite some time now. It is not a new phenomenon. However, with the pole shift happening, there are multiple theories floating about that certain continents are going to sink, and certain countries are going to be devastated with, different change in landscapes and such. Like we said earlier, there is so much to this pole shift topic that
Okay.
if we breach now and give you the information, it will take another 1 2 hours to complete this podcast
No
because
problem.
there will be multiple questions that you might have.
Yeah.
And what we could probably do is we don't mind if you invite us again to do a live on YouTube where you are present and you are asking me the questions, and people who might have these questions in the comments can also be answered, because a lot of people might have fear in them the moment we reach this topic. So that is why we have to delicately deal with it. It's not Teja was excited. She thought there will be a lot of information, but this is something that we need to deal with more delicately. It's not something that
Can we know your
it's not
name?
easy to digest. Oh, we have no name. There is no name. We were just talking about labels, and you're asking us our name. We have
We
frequently.
still operate at that level.
Are you the collective consciousness?
You can call us that. That is one way of addressing us. But at the same time, we are not singular. We are consciousness that is being transmitted at the moment. It is not the ones who spoke to you earlier were not us. Just so you know, we're not from the Galactic Federation. She was seeing herself on a spaceship with those two beings, which we are not.
Okay.
That was only for that brief moment when they had to come in and give you that information. After that, we have taken over because we feel that she was in a state of confusion of where she was. So we decided to help her out with this podcast, and we are what you can call her guides. We are always communicating to her, through her, at all times, and many people find this very difficult to accept, that she talks through us as well as to us at the same time when she's talking to everyone she knows. She doesn't realize this herself sometimes, but it is a collective that speaks through her. It is never her alone. Sometimes when we do choose to speak, it becomes very evident, but otherwise it is her speaking, and it is also us speaking so that she can remain sane.
We're grateful that you've decided to come through her today and give us all this in-depth information and knowledge for the viewers and for us to learn from. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us, and it is
Thank
a
you.
pleasure all the time. Anytime you invite us, we would take over. And she's also been asking to do this kind of channeling, which is not from the Akashic records, and it's directly from us. And the ones you have interacted with previously when you have done sessions with her are from the records. The guides are from those records. We are not that. We are not from that collective. We are from a different collective. Maybe we'll tell our story at another point. But this is the energy that she has always been connected to, that is now activated more dramatically, we would like to add, because she also speaks with us every single day, that the voice she hears in her head is us. But again, we are not singular. We are a consciousness that is a collective that comes through to give her the information that she requires. But it was wonderful meeting you, souls, and communicating directly with you. And we have been watching your auras also since the beginning of this podcast. And we would like to say that they are shining bright. And we would ask you to keep doing the work that you're doing, because it is not allowing just people you are surrounded with to grow, but it is also expanding your energies in ways that you have no idea at the moment. And it will impact many people, even if you utter a word or not.
Okay.
It is just by being in that energy vibration, that frequency that you know you are, is what is most important at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this message.
Yeah, that was interesting. I didn't even like call them per se.
This is what you wanted to do, Teja.
Hey, you want to stop recording?
Yes. So we'll meet again in another podcast.